Higher energy prices due to the war in Iran hit Germany's economy very hard. This year, a projection says the growth will be close to zero. What can the German government do to change that? What are the impacts on Europe and the rest of the world? These pressing questions I would like to discuss with Marcel Fratzscher. Marcel Fratzscher is one of the leading economists in Germany, and he's a professor here at the Humboldt University in Berlin, and he's the president of the renowned German Institute for Economic Research, DIW, in Berlin. Marcel Fratzscher is joining me via video link. Thanks for your time this morning. Mr. Fratzscher, let's start with the situation in Germany. The growth projections are dire, only 0.5%, inflation up to 2.7%. Is Germany heading to a recession?
Under the current projections, Germany is not heading for a recession. 0.5% is the forecast the government gave last night or on Wednesday for Germany for this year. Now, one should be very honest and frank. This is the positive, the optimistic scenario under which there's no escalation of the war in the Middle East. If we have an escalation of the war, meaning an extended closure of the Strait of Hormuz, less delivery of gas, oil, fertilizer, yes, then it is quite likely that the German economy could move back into recession. But so far, at least, we hope that energy prices will stabilize. And if the war ends, that the recovery can take place.
The 0.5% growth mostly due to investment by public institutions, so it's financed by public debt, additional debt called somehow euphemistically Sondervermögen, but it's debt. So if that is not there, then what happens? How long can Germany afford to do that?
Well, first of all, it is the job of the government to stabilize the economy in bad times. And we are in bad times, so the government is doing the right thing. I think the government actually should be doing more. It should provide more of a stimulus. It should spend more on public investment. The special fund that you just mentioned is important. There's plenty of money, close to 500 billion euros still in there. So now is the time actually to speed up public investment. The economy is 70% psychology, right? It's about confidence, it's about trust. That's where the government comes in. It needs to signal very clearly to companies, but also to citizens. We will do what is necessary to help support companies and citizens. And it has not done that yet. So far, the government has acted according to the principle of hope, saying, oh, hopefully it won't get any worse. So we don't have the money to spend more, for instance, to help government companies or to help citizens weather this crisis. So in short, I think we will need to see more government action rather than less.
There are the short-term measures to somehow cushion this energy price shock we have due to the Iran war, but the government is not unified in that. You have the one part, the Christian Democrats, the conservatives that say, well, we cannot, pay out everybody for that, not reimburse everybody for that. On the other side, the Social Democrats demand more. They even want a windfall profit tax. And you say psychology is very important. So is this supporting the trust into the government?
No. What the government has been doing so far in this energy crisis is weak. It doesn't signal that the government has understood that it needs to act more decisively, that it needs to stand together, that it needs to conduct big reforms. And one of the controversial points within the government is how to finance that. The German government, the German finance minister, will present the first draft of the budget for 2027 next week. And at least until a few weeks ago, we had a deficit of 20, 30 billion euros within the current planning. So the government needs to plug a huge hole, and on top needs to spend more to support companies and citizens in this crisis. And the controversial point is, how is it going to do that? As you said, there's no appetite to increase debt. There's no appetite to increase taxes. And if you rule out both, then there's no way to fund additional spending. And this is the deadlock we have currently in the government.
There are demands like populist demands from the left and the right wing: tax the rich, give us the money back. Do you think that populists can somehow thrive in this crisis and contradict the measures the government is trying to take?
Yes, we see a dangerous shift to the right-wing extremist AfD party also in this crisis. The AfD is now, according to some polls, the strongest party, stronger than the Conservative Party and the party of Chancellor Merz. Because the AfD is promising we don't need to change anything. We can just give you more money. We need to import the fossil fuels from Russia once again, and everything will be fine. Of course, that's a lie. But someone needs to tell the citizens that's not how it's going to work. And this government is divided. It's not communicating well. It's not signaling, look, we have the solutions. That's what we're going to do. And that's eroding trust in the government. So false claims by the non-democratic AfD and a lack of reforms, poor communication by the government.
The structural deficits of the German economic community were there before the Iran war already. There were always demands to do reforms, which never happened. Are you confident that now this will give a push actually to change the business model and to do reforms?
Well, the sad thing in many democracies, and Germany is no exception, is that governments are able to conduct really fundamental structural reforms only when they're with the back to the wall, when they're so deep in a crisis that only reforms can be a way out. And my fear is we are not at that point yet. We are getting closer. But so far, the government really has avoided painful reforms to the pension system, to healthcare, to taxes, to subsidies, of which you have plenty in Germany. And so far, the government has tried to muddle through by basically telling people, we will keep spending and you don't have to worry. You will continue to get the support. And it's really high time for the government to be more honest and say, look, we have some tough years ahead of us. We need to do structural reforms. Everyone will have to tighten their belt. There's no one who is exempted from that. That's a kind of narrative and communication I strongly believe we need now in Germany. So burden sharing, honesty, and deep structural reforms. And as I said, I think we are not yet there yet, but my hunch is we are getting there within the next 1 or 2 years.
Let's widen the perspective a little bit. What does a weak German economy mean for Europe and the rest of the world? Germany is the biggest economy in Germany and the third biggest in the world. So what impact does that have? Is Germany dragging everybody else down also?
Germany's dragging Europe down. Germany is not dragging the world down because globally Germany is a tiny economy, is a small economy with a small share of global GDP, less than 2%. And of course, for many products globally, there are alternatives from China, from the US, from Korea, from elsewhere in the world. But for Europe, it is a real problem because we have very extensive, complex value chains within Europe. So German industrial companies are not performing. If they have to cut production, many other European companies directly will feel the impact, not just the neighboring countries, Austria, Poland, the smaller countries around, but all of Europe. And so for Europe, it is a problem. For the world, I would say it is not. And we shouldn't expect that Germany will get the support from US or China now, where it is in difficulty.
The trade, the German export is also going down or stagnating at least. Who is responsible for that? Is it only the tariffs done by the US administration, or is there also a false business model now within Germany? Are the companies not doing the right thing?
The export weakness, the contraction in exports over the past few years in Germany is a result really of three factors. One, global trade conflicts, tariffs from the US, also a more protective and protectionist China. That certainly plays a role. Second, high energy cost. We have a very high share of energy-intensive companies and industries in Germany. Those companies are suffering and they are losing competitiveness. And third, and that's also part of the truth, German industrial companies, at least some of them, have made big mistakes. And the German automotive sector is the best example. The reason why they are in such difficulty today, that actually didn't start 2 years ago or 3 years or 4 years ago with the Ukraine war. That started actually in 2018, 2019, when the decline started. And they have not managed to be innovative. They have stuck to old technologies rather than moving to e-mobility, to electric cars, battery technology, and so on. So these are the three factors that account for the weakness of exports. Two of them external to the German economy, but one of them can be changed and needs to be changed.
You have mentioned the Europe and the European Union. The Commission is not promoting measures like tax relief or tank rebate or windfall profits. So the European level is not doing much. Is that the right course? Does that support Germany?
We need a lot closer European coordination on everything from energy policy to industrial policy to climate to infrastructure and so on. Now, we should be very clear. Germany has extracted far more exemptions from European rules, for instance, state aid rules, than any other European country over the past 5 years. So Germany has often done their own national policies, even if they went against European rules, and pressured Brussels, pressured the European Commission to get through with that. The Tankrabatt, so the rebate on gasoline and diesel, is the best example. It's extremely poor economic policy. It means part of the 17 cents that the German government is now subsidizing gasoline and diesel is actually ending up in the pockets of the petroleum companies. Second, it leads to the fact that people are reducing their driving behavior much less than what it is necessary to address the shortage of gas and oil that we currently have. So this is really poor policy. And I wish the European Commission actually blocked Germany from doing it, because it's against the European rules. It's bad economic policy. It's bad social policy. It's bad energy policy. It's bad in every sense except that it's populist and tries to signal to citizens we are doing something, even though if that's what they're doing is counterproductive.
The price shock shows us again how dependent economies are still on fossil fuels. Is this a reminder that the Energiewende, or the change towards more sustainable sources, should be faster? Is that even possible, or is that a solution?
Well, it's the only solution, right? If you want to reduce your dependence on imports of oil and gas from autocratic regimes like Russia, or many of them in the Middle East, The only way to, one, get access to cheaper energy, and second, to be less dependent and increase your autonomy, it's building up renewable energies much faster. And clearly there are restrictions to that. We need to invest a lot more in infrastructure, energy infrastructure in Germany. That's happening. And high cost for fossil fuels actually will speed up that transformation. So that in a way is helpful, even if I understand that high fossil fuels, high gas prices is a problem for some citizens.
And saving energy in the situation right now, would that be a good advice? Just to lower the demand and lower the prices with that?
That's the best advice and the best policy path we can go. And I think that's seems to be too complicated, but it's to explain, but it's the absolute crucial point. We have 10 to 50% less oil and gas currently. So we need to save 10 to 15% in our consumption. And there are two ways of doing it. One is through prices shooting up as they do, and let the market allocate who is cutting consumption where. Or you could say, let's actually think really hard, where can we cut consumption where it hurts us the least? And for instance, the speed limit on highways would actually do quite a bit to reducing the demand for gasoline and diesel. Having days without driving, having restrictions on using the car in cities where there are really alternatives to using the car is a much smarter way than letting only the price do the allocation, in particular from a social welfare perspective.
Let me ask this for a conclusion. We have talked about a lot of bad numbers and dire straits and things that can go wrong. Do you see anything optimistic, light at the tunnel, light at the end of the tunnel? We say it's psychology, so where's the optimistic outlook?
I'm an optimist by profession, so I do believe, as I said throughout our interview, governments in particular in democracies sometimes need a strong push to have the courage to undertake fundamental reforms. And we are getting close to that point where the German government can no longer muddle through, where they are faced with, we have to act now, we have to get rid of red lines and taboos, we need to have a fundamental reform of our tax system. Second, we need to have a fundamental reform of social security. Third, we need to push a lot more investment in innovation and productivity. And fourth, and equally important, we need to engage much more strongly with Europe. And that's kind of, for me, the most important point that we neglect. Only if we have a strong, unified voice in Europe will we be able to push back against China and the United States, and will we be able to protect European interests, protect industry, give them really a good perspective to compete in global markets.
Marcel Fratzscher, President of the German Institute for Economic Research, thank you so much for your insights.
My pleasure.